Hey Bryson, how's it going, dude? Hey, yeah, I'm talking to you, Bryson. What's up? Okay? I'm getting real sick of your shit, Bryson. I'm getting real sick of you.
Kenshi is a scam and a shallow game. Lately, it's been getting a lot of positive reviews, and I just don't see why. Kenshi is based on the fact that you can do anything and designed not to care about you, despite both those facts being completely fucking wrong. Kenshi is a single player, sandbox, squad-based, RPG, RTS wannabe. It's just kind of an RPG wannabe too as well, I guess. I said squad-based because the developer pushes you to have a squad, instead of allowing you to do what you want, which kind of goes against the point of the game in my opinion. Kenshi is not a bad game, I'll say that, but it's pretty far from a good game. It's more of an okay game. This is due to its shallowness and lack of personality. The main problems I have with this game are the following three things. 1. NPCs being mindless and or lack personality. 2. Factions being stagnant and or inactive with no set out goals. And 3. The store page directly fucking lying to you, pretty much scamming you. We should start with the third one. This fucking article annoys the living shit out of me because the title is literally false. Yeah, it's kinda sad when the game says you're not the chosen one, the article praises it for saying that, but unfortunately, that's not true at all. Hey, if you think the article being wrong is bad, how about the store page? Yeah, straight up scamming you with false statement. You are not the chosen one, besides the fact you're the only person who's actually affected by hunger, another key point of lazy design. Even games like Oblivion, where you are the chosen one, you felt less like the chosen one than what you do in Kenshi. In other words, if you want a game where you're treated like NPCs, this isn't it. To further prove this point, let's talk about dynamic, ever-changing world. Besides the fact the world isn't dynamic, nor is it ever-changing. Factions should be the key point of what makes a world dynamic. But instead, they are lazy, stagnant AI who never wish to expand on their own accords and only ever capture places after the player has done all the work. This is all due to the engine's limitations and the dev's laziness to fix these limitations. I hate the fact that the dev built the game around you not being the chosen one, yet you're the only one who can ever cause the world state to change. Such as a faction losing their leader by you killing them or turning them in for a bounty. Then this can cause a faction or a location to be taken over or destroyed. Leaders can die to other people but you, but I'm pretty sure this is impossible for most leaders because 1, they have to die and not be knocked out, and 2, they have really high stats or bodyguards with high stats, meaning you'll take one massive army raid to kill them. The other factions don't raid other factions, only passing roaming groups will ever engage with the cities. As well as other roaming factions just tend to be some form of bandits and have no goals to take over the cities. Let's talk about the major factions for 2 seconds. You have racist isolationists, you have slaving elitists nobles, and you have sexist, racist, slaving religious people. And the game dev kind of pushes you towards not siding with any of these people. Shrieks treat you like shit for being human. Even if you're a sheik, they still treat you like
Outlander.
Elitist nobles bully you if you ever get in their way of their guards, and will let slavers beat you up and slave you, and they hate you if you're poor. And the holy nation is just kind of pushed as evil, but overall they don't do anything bad to you as long as you're human, male, and clearly not having sex with other races. All the major factions in the game stay out of the way of each other, even though 2 of them are pretty much actively at war. It's pretty sad. Then leads on to say it's not just a game, it's a simulated world you're living in and surviving in, which for the most part is a blanket term for a game. Plus, it's not a simulation in any way. End of story. Intelligent AI. You know, besides the fact that the AI aren't intelligent at all. It's mainly referring to setting your character to jobs, like you do in an RTS. Click the villager, set it into wood, food or gold, etc. Intelligent AI tend to understand how to work out problems, but I have had multiple times when my AI are trying to do something, but don't because their inventory is full, because it can't figure out how to empty it. I've had multiple AI get stuck and just not do jobs for no reason, like my engineers. And this is all in version 1, the so-called finished game. The AI in towns are lifeless. They will walk around endlessly or sit down in a bar endlessly. Alive and simulation-like world. It's like you're playing with a dollhouse. And that's just it. It's a dollhouse. The game doesn't have very radiant AI. Once again, they don't need to eat. And they don't have any goals. And they don't ever sleep most of the time. Some do, some don't. I don't know how it works. My biggest problem with the game is the lack of personality, which is the main reason the world isn't dynamic, the AI is bland, your squad's a mindless drone, and all the factions are stagnant. But I haven't talked about your squad in the game yet, so let's do just that. The game is designed around having a squad, which kind of ruins what the game is about. Characters have more personality outside of your squad than inside of your squad. They lose almost all personality after joining your squad and only have very lackluster interactions and no longer act for themselves at all. They are just mindless drones that will do whatever you tell them to do. They will never defy what you tell them to do. Even if they were an anti-slaver who actively joins you to fight slavery, they can just be told to sell a character into slavery and they'll do it regardless.
It's good for the kids if it's good for the adults!
You can pretty much do everything the Steam page says you can be. Be a trader, a thief, a rebel, a warlord, an adventurer, a farmer, a slave, or just brute cannibals. And that's it. Like, that's it. That's all you can be. There's nothing else. There's actually more things you can't do in this game than you can do. Not to mention, you'll always end up as a warlord endgame regardless of what you plan on being. Be a farmer. Oh wait, no. Don't. Because farming sucks, and it's bad for money. Instead, just mine copper. Be a trader. Or instead, you can mine copper and make more money. A thief? Wait, no, mine copper instead. Be a slave, but not a useful one, because you're not mining copper. Not only that, it annoys me that NPCs can own proper slaves and you're not allowed to. The same with them being mercenaries. You can't be mercenaries yourselves.
I'm a mechanical man. I'm a mechanical.
NPCs in towns don't do much, as previously stated. There's a few wandering the streets, a few sitting down in the house, and a few sitting in the bars. None of them do anything special besides the ones in the bar, the only part of the town that has any personality. The bars are full of different people, mainly ones to hire, but sometimes has bar thugs who are there just to start fights with. You'll also catch just people talking about events that may have happened, or just stuff that's meant to like they claim they see raids of factions that don't actually raid and so forth, you know, to create immersion that isn't actually there. I thought I had some glitch or something at one point. I kept having bounties I turned in come out of jail somehow, even though they were meant to be in there for life. And I started killing them before turning them in, which did the trick. But the question is, how did they get out? And it's not intelligent AI, I can tell you that. It's slavers walking into the jails, slaving the bounty targets, then walking them freely out of the town. And yes, if they get out of jail, their faction will reawaken. They don't retake their base though, unless you haven't rendered it in destroyed or taken over by someone else. But their roaming squads will reappear. Now, NPCs are supposedly meant to respawn in towns after a long time, but I've had Brink lose like half of its population. And over 100 days, not a single NPC has respawned ever. I don't think it's a real thing. One of the biggest problems with games like this, and most games with character permadeath, mainly TRPGs, is the fact of two things. One, being Kenshi has no stats and doesn't provide any information on what a character has done, meaning you can't see how many kills or battles a single character has been in. And two, the game doesn't mourn the death of characters at all. Once the character is dead, there's no way of making a gravestone or anything. Also, all the characters in the squad don't care. I don't think you can even keep the body, because I'm pretty sure it despawns on reload. This makes it obsolete to ever want to lose a character while playing the squad game. On the other hand, if you're playing Massive Army, it makes sense, because you're most likely not training your character to the point where they've got the high enough stats to survive anyway in a massive brawl. A better idea would just be have a stat board for every character in your squad. This would make them dying be meaningful, because you could always look over and revisit what they did. Martial arts is unquestionably broken. It doesn't even make logical sense how I can punch people's limbs straight off in one hit. I would understand them breaking, but I can just punch them straight off like they're made of easily tearable paper. Original game world. There's no fantasy knockoff cliches, no mad. N-Giga just kicks off another N-Giga's limb right off. I don't know how the dev fucked this up. Or maybe it's purposely like this because Tin Fist refers to it as a non-lethal or violent method, and it's something that can insta-kill someone when at high level. Like, okay? Talking about dumb shit, there's NPCs with over the max amount of stats you can get, which is a real piss off. On that fact, it's meant to treat you like any other NPC. Even the store page says so. This shouldn't be a thing, but it is. Nice. On that side note, the NPC is also considered a hero, and you can call him a hero. Okay. Logic. I feel like the dev for this game lost all his passion for it. And I mean, I would too if I released a game that was already 12 years old. I think what makes me so annoyed and why I made this review has a lot to do with the fact that they lied on the Steam page and the game could have been so much more than it was. The dev said he finished working on the game, he knew he left out stuff and he's not going to add it in. It has so much potential and it's not overly far off. With a few changes it could go from an okay to a good or even great game. And no, the modders won't ever be able to make this game great with how limited they are with the engine. It doesn't help when opening up a discussion for this game on Steam Discussions, which is the biggest fucking joke. I ended up with my post locked for being disruptive by the biggest joke of a mod I've ever seen, Hatsune Nuiko. This person is getting praised for being a useless moron. Just throwing that out there though. I'm gonna finish off by saying I would love to see someone make a game like Kenshi and make it proper medieval or gothic, steam or cyberpunk instead of this fan fiction of post-apocalyptic Japan. The perfect game would have to have like squad members with relationships to you and them having personalities and have their own way of doing things and would like and dislike different squad members on their own. Factions that are active and who move around the map, wage war, build up, take over, regardless of what you're doing, and actually make you feel like you aren't the main cause of things, but you could be if you got to that state. Allow you to do any job that any NPC can do, or just any job in general that the game world would conceive as something that would be needed in that world. Allow you to build towns that NPCs come and live in, buying a house off you and stuff, and buying land off you. Or just be an architect for a different town where you build houses for NPCs in that town. New factions with different ideologies showing up and building their own place. Sieging to destroy enemy empires, buildings and cities and so forth. Stats recorded of what your character did when they are alive and when they are dead, as well as gravestones allowing graveyards to exist. You actually not being the chosen one and having NPCs also affected by hunger and other debuffs. NPCs having daily stuff to go through, eat, sleep, work, etc., which modders have already tried doing. the ability to communicate more with other factions, allowing you to ask for help or suggest them to attack place. Even though this is kind of a minor feature within a few factions of Kenshi, it should be much more expanded upon. Discussions and other things to do with other roaming groups besides your own, where NPCs try to break out of jails when you're not watching or commit crimes at risk, or also being able to work for or join factions and actually help them out direct instead of doing some indirect stuff where they just take over after you've already done all the work. I think even with half of these things, it would have been 1,000 times better of a game if it just had a few of these things and would shift up the game state from like this okay, mediocre mess to like something that could be great or wonderful. Anyways, I guess that's all I have to say. I think Kenshi as it is, and how the store page conceives the game makes it out to sound like a scam, and I don't think that's right. And it sucks that the guy lost passion for his work. I honestly think it does, but at the same time, you shouldn't be advertising the game as something it's not, and I find that really bad for like the type of person people think you are. And people just don't say anything about this. No one thinks these things, like, has even looked at the Steam page and said, I can tell that these things aren't, like, the real, like, what the game's like. Even though I've played it for hundreds and hundreds of hours, I noticed, and I've had other people notice the same things. The thing is, I've played the game, and people hearing me playing about it has ended up making them buy the game. And that I feel like ashamed for, because they thought they were going to get more than what they did. The same people got fucking disappointed in the same ways I did. At the end of the day, one of the biggest problems with the game is just that squad doesn't have any personality. No one ever works against you. I'd love the game to have, like, you're going out and fighting, and then someone turns on you mid-fight and all that type of stuff. Not necessarily always, or even having the option for it would have been nice, but there's never going to be a mod that works that way because how the game's made, and that really sucks. Anyway, I'm out.